5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hello. Oh, hang on a second. I'm very small there. That's where we go. Pop a Viagra in and you can see what happens. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye. Hello, wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. This is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. We've got no match until Monday night, which means our weekend cannot be ruined. We've got the watch along Monday night, although I will warn you now, I may be becoming a granddad on Monday. We are waiting, but it's probably likely to be induced at some point, and I have slipped the surgeon a tenner so that he does it Monday night, so I don't have to do the watch along, which is the one you watch will probably go and win. No, we ain't going to win it, are we? Craig is in. Good evening, Craig, or good afternoon. How are you? Ronald is in, and Douglas is in. Hello, Dougie. How are you? Look, as it says there, 29 years since King Power took over. That's been 15 years. What did I say? 15 years since King Power took over. 29 transfer windows, 122 players. And no, we're not going to be looking at all 122, otherwise I'd be as old as Dave. But hi, Dave. He'll kill me. But we will be looking at each of the windows, players that got away, windows where we didn't actually sign anybody, and there's more than just the one, believe you me. You think it's bad now? We've had some bad windows, I'll tell you. And as players that I forgot even existed. And why have I got, look, this is it's all going completely wrong here. There we go. I'll get there eventually. I don't know, I used to know what I was doing. There we go. Why was I putting the team against Manchester City up? Just to show how bloody stupid, because those are the transfers that we've got in at the moment. You think Ayew's bad, you think Yakubu Reed's bad, you just wait and see. Dave is back. He's been away, but he's back from outer space. He's turned around and he's taken that look up on his face. He's going to go through the windows with me. Let's get him in. Dave.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I am well. If I'm not talking football, I'm good. I think I'm thinking about being a granddad. I'm good. And then I look at football, and even when Leicester aren't playing, Ipswich, that thing called fight.
Yeah,
they're actually showing it.
I would love to see them give it a big go, wouldn't you? Try and stay up.
We're not going to, but I would love to see Ipswich Town. And I hope that the Leicester City players hang their heads in shame because the fact that we show nothing like Ipswich Town.
No. Or even Southampton. Was it on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah. Yeah.
They started putting a bit of a fight in, but we've had nothing at all, have we? I don't get it.
No.
I just don't understand it. It's almost like there's a virus in the club, you know.
737 minutes since we last scored a Premier League goal.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that guy there? Look, we sacked. It wasn't this bad under Peter Taylor. It wasn't this bad, as I remember, under Ian Holloway. You know, never have we had a manager that's gone this long without scoring a goal or this long without getting a point. And yet the clown is still in charge. I know that the Top got married. Do you think she's chewed his balls off?
I think we overestimated Top. I think that was the problem. Because he's his dad's son, I think we assumed things would just carry on in the same way. I mean, I don't know anything, to be honest, but if I
well, none of us do, because they don't tell us anything.
Well, they don't tell us. But if I had to say anything, I'd suggest he was being bullied by the board in a bizarre sort of way, to let them get on with it because they know more about it than he does. And that's clearly wrong. So, I don't know. Well, yeah, was it that bad under Brian Hamilton? I mean, he did bring Walshy in, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, was it
this is what I'm saying. Everybody says, oh, yeah, but it was, I mean, how bad
great.
was it under David Pleat? It wasn't this bad.
No, I think, as I said, I think Frank McClintock era it was only a season, but then, you know, that was bad. I mean, the players were bad. That was the difference. We've got some decent players who can't get a game. I mean, you know, you think the team's completely changed, but it's poor, and he's not changed it back.
No,
I
he's
don't
doing
understand.
nothing. Give the youth a chance. What have we got to lose? Everybody's saying, well, it will ruin their confidence. No, you just say to them, you can't be as shit as the guys who are playing 90 grand a week. Go out there and just play your game, and if you lose, you're not that bad. You know
I did think about the confidence thing for the Man City game, but then I thought, well, actually, they're shit anyway at the minute.
Yeah.
This would offer a chance for the kids to go and make a name for themselves.
Yes.
You know, in a game they're not expected to win.
Somebody's just sent me a message saying, what happened to Foxes Never Quit? I think they've all quitted, haven't they, this season?
I don't know. I really don't. I've never seen a Leicester team in all my years just show no fight at all. There's a dreadful comment on Sky on the, you know, when they do the games, and he said it's like Man City reserves playing Leicester under 21s. I think we'd have probably put up a better fight with the under 21s.
I think so. I did actually say to Newcastle that they could probably put their under 12 side out and they still beat us.
That's fucking scary. Yeah, yes. I mean, do you think there'd be many turn up?
Do you know what? I think that's the only way. If they said, and unfortunately this will never happen, but if they said, like, all the season ticket holders and everybody that was going to go along on the day, just say, fuck it, I'm not going to go along to the next home game. And literally, it was back to like COVID when nobody, just the Newcastle fans in the corner. I think that might be the only thing that actually makes them think.
I mean, people, I'm a classic one for saying, support your team, don't boo. I hate booing. Support your team on the day and then moan in the pub afterwards. But, you know, on the day, support the team. But I think that the team don't deserve it.
No.
I mean, Vardy showed, you know, he was frustrated as hell, didn't he? He got booked for it, you know, but what must he be thinking? He had a great... We thought he'd go after the relegation before. He stayed and got us back up. And he was hoping to do well this year and maybe leave or retire on a high. But it's a recurring nightmare for him.
I want him gone. I'm sorry. I love the guy to bits, but I want him out, and I want him out now.
We haven't got anybody, though.
Well, we've got a £90,000 Edward sat at home knitting socks.
You couldn't make it up, could you? I mean, the guy was rubbish at Palace. He scored the odd goal, but, you know, he was rubbish. And why did we think...
But we're playing players out. I mean, you know, against Man United in the cup, we had Daka already was injured anyway, so he wasn't even in the squad. Daka went off, and we had to put El Canus on or Buenete, whichever one it was, up front. And I'm like, we need a striker.
Yeah, well, we need to be able to play the balls to the strikers as well. If you think we're playing deep midfield, deep back 4 or 5 or 6 or however many the hell it is, Vardy ain't going to get a look in anyway. Even if he was on top.
We could have Messi and Ronaldo up front and they wouldn't score for us.
No. But I think what bothers me is that he's coming out with the same old rubbish every time, and about having to go back and to training and it's the same rubbish we hear from every manager when things are going badly. So they're saying we were awful. I've got to do something about it now. Not say, well, I want to approach the board, see if we're aligned in our thoughts. Well, no, because they thought you might keep us up.
Yeah. And he wants an assurance. Let's assure him he'll be gone at the end of the season.
Well, I can't believe there's a big payoff there. Surely not.
You know what annoys me more than anything? Because I look at you, Dave, and I think, God, you're 19 and look what it's done to you.
I had black hair at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So you had hair, didn't you?
I had hair. Look at that now. That's what it's done to me. Good God.
Well, I've known it's never easy supporting Leicester, even in the 60s. But
in that Great Escape year, when we were probably as bad, but we had fight.
Yep.
We had players that wanted to fight. We weren't getting stuffed 4-0. We were always in there. But there's just no fight. There's no, they're not fit to wear the shirt. It's as simple as.
Well, you know damn well they score a goal within a couple of minutes, 3 minutes. Was it the fastest goal last Saturday? It probably was, wasn't it?
No, I think that was against Everton, wasn't it?
Yeah, but didn't Grealish score 2 minutes?
He scored out after 2 minutes.
2 minutes,
wasn't quite as fast as the Everton goal.
No.
I hadn't even got my stream bloody set up. That's how quick it was.
Late again, eh?
But as bad as we think it is, let's go back and let's have a look at some
I'm going to have to take tablets if you're going back on all these transfers, because I can remember some horrendous ones. But be interesting.
Well, go and get them ready, because we are going to go back and look at the 29 transfer windows over 15 years and 122 deals or dealies that I've put there since KP took over. And of course, who was their first managerial appointment? Sven Goran Eriksson, may he rest in peace. He wasn't this bad when they sacked him.
No, he wasn't. No.
And yet Ruud van Schittelrooy is still in charge. He was with us just for 12 months, and I think he actually had a couple of transfer windows. It was all a bit chaotic in the early days, because this was his first window. When you look at that, and I have to say that Ricardo isn't our Ricardo. That Ricardo was a goalkeeper. Well, he called himself a goalkeeper. The one that stands out for me there is Solbamba.
Yeah. He, I remember also he scored against Man City in the cup, didn't he?
It was his one. Literally, I think it was his first touch.
First touch, yeah. But you see, you look at these. Chris Kirkland on loan. Chris Kirkland had got a bad back. His back had gone, so he was no use. Ben Mee, I thought, was a decent signing. Yeah. Performed better when he left us. Yakubu, yeah.
Yakubu to me wasn't bad. He was. You can see why we went for him, because he knew where the goal was. But he was only on loan anyway. But I don't remember Jeffrey Broomer.
I know the name. I remember the name, but he didn't play much. He came on loan and didn't really do a lot. Neither did Kamara.
No.
In fact, I can't even remember him getting in the team. But
and wasn't Van Arnholt? Wasn't he a defender that we always played in midfield, or a midfielder we always played in defence?
I think he was a full back, if memory serves me. I think he was a full back, a decent player as well. I didn't realise we got him from Chelsea.
Apparently, yeah. That again was only a loan.
We were in the Championship, weren't we?
We were, yes.
Yeah, so that's why the loans, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he took us to safety that year, in fairness, did Sven. But like I say, so many players there that it's just, I can't literally remember. Some of those, I'm sure, didn't even get a game.
No. Ricardo, I have no idea who that was.
No, he was a goalkeeper, I think, Portuguese goalkeeper.
Oh, God, yes, he did play, didn't he? I remember, what's the name? Handy Sutton, we both know. She banging on about him, and nightmare. But he was an international, though. He was an international. Yeah, that's right. Well, decent international. We ruined him.
No, well, we got him on a free. How bad was he when we did it on a free?
Yeah, good point.
And of course, we got Chris Kirkland as well. Did he not go on to Liverpool, or?
Yeah, I think this was the end of his career because his back he had a big operation on his back, I think.
But does that not say a lot about our signings? Most of them were at the back end of the career.
Oh yeah. But then we were a Championship side struggling, weren't we?
Yes, yeah.
So
I mean, I was talking to the Newcastle fan yesterday from Newcastle Fans TV, Lee, lovely guy, and we were talking about Celeste Ferdinand. Or Celeste, that's what we used to call him. I don't think he is a sir, but we used to call him sir.
Yeah.
And like he said, great player, but again, we got him at the back end of his career.
Yeah.
That was the they weren't sure of the date, so I've put that out, say October 2010 to March 2011. There may not have been a window then. It might have actually just been you could sort of transfer. But if we jump forward, which we will do, I think he might have been Ronald. Ronald says, wasn't Kirkland a local lad? I think he might have been.
Yeah, he was from Coventry, I think. Didn't Sven sign Casper?
Well, funny you should mention that, because in summer 11, again, we went a little bit mad on the old signing front. My typing's awful, by the way. I do apologise. But Lee Peltier, we got Kasper Schmeichel, Neil Dans on a free, Sean St. Ledger, David Nugent, Matt Mills, Paul Konchesky, John Pantsil, Michael Johnson, Gelson Fernandez, Michael Ball, and Jermaine Beckford. Kasper, let's talk about Kasper first of all. Wow. You've got to say, if Sven did nothing else for us, bringing Kasper Schmeichel to the club, because he was we said he was from Leeds, wasn't he? And he didn't even want to come to us.
No, he was sort of Sven's. Who was it? Peter Taylor followed Junior Lewis. Junior Lewis, yeah. Because I think Kasper went to Port Vale.
Notts County.
Notts County, sorry. Yeah.
He did.
When that big investment was supposed to happen and it all went wrong, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. No, he wanted to stay at Leeds, didn't he? Kasper?
He did. But basically, Leeds said they didn't want him.
Yeah, that's a result and a half. It's good to see Leeds making mistakes all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, who'd have thought? But, I mean, that's the signing that obviously sticks out. Lee Peltier, I thought he did all right, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not bad.
A couple of players that nobody really rated, but I did, and that was Neil Dans and Sean St. Ledger. Yep.
Decent players, solid players. But they sort of did a job, didn't they? It's the sort of player that if they don't play, you miss them. But when they do play, you don't notice them. Yeah.
And Neil Dans, I mean, he scored a couple of long shots that went in the net. David Nugent.
Oh, well, yeah. Free from Portsmouth, amazing, that, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, it was a good signing, wasn't he?
Yeah, brilliant. And then we go and pay $5.5 million for Matt Mills.
He didn't go down well, did he, Matt Mills?
I thought it was a great signing to start with. I thought he'd be a perfect fit, but I don't know whether his head wasn't right or something because he just lost it, didn't he?
Well, when you look, he's double the next most expensive signing in this window. It's our most expensive signing.
Yeah.
And then a signing that I thought was really good, again, took a lot of stick, and that was Paul Konchesky.
Yeah, solid player. No, he's good.
The next few, though, I don't really remember. Pantsill, Johnson or Fernandes. I don't remember any of them.
I remember Fernandes, but not for anything spectacular. Johnson, no. Paintsel, no. I don't. No, they didn't do anything, did they?
No.
But this, this happens in these windows. You get some winners, you get some losers.
Yeah, I mean, Jermaine Beckford, he was okay, wasn't he?
He was right in the FA Cup, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he likes the FA Cup goal. But you look there, we've actually signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've signed a first team and a substitute as well. And it does take, not everyone is going to settle in, are they?
No. No, not. I mean, it was about 12 million there, is it? Or less? Probably less than that, is it? 11, 9, 5, 6. Yeah,
just over 10. No, 11.2. So near enough. Yeah, near enough.
Yeah.
Which in those days wasn't it? I think Michael Ball. I mean, Ronald's got there Phantom of the Opera. I think he was the Phantom of Leicester City because I don't think we saw him that often, did we?
No. I mean,
he was like the Invisible Man.
Did he play for Sunderland before the contract ended? Was it a Sunderland player?
I'm not sure. He did.
Or Sheffield United, one of those sort of clubs, anyway.
But again, it was a player that you expected more of.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I say, with occasionally as we'll go through this, we'll see there's some good free bargains there that we made. And Paul Konchesky, like I say, he took a lot of stick, but I thought he was a good player. He's on my wall here. He was in the team that got us promoted a few years later. But look, Sven left, and in came Nigel Pearson. This guy, look, it saved us once when we got relegated. It was such a surprise when he came back for a second time. It caught us all totally, came left field, straight in. Nobody had any money on him whatsoever. And he came in, and wow, did he have an effect. There was him, obviously Craig Shakespeare, then you had your Steve Walsh and everybody in the transfer. That was a great time to be a Leicester fan, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you knew damn well that if people didn't play the way he wanted or didn't fight, he'd tell them.
Yes.
It was different times. Even it's only a short time ago, isn't it? 10 years, but even then, I don't think you could have a Nigel Pearson around nowadays. Players are too,
It's like you couldn't really have an Alex Ferguson these days.
No. If it's true what I hear about players not wanting to live in the area and commuting and having a row with the manager about it, then that would not happen in Brian Clough's day.
No, and I don't think that would have happened in Nigel Pearson's day.
No, it wouldn't. No,
to be honest with you.
No.
I mean, I put a thing: are you Team Cody or Team Van Nistelrooy? And as much as I hate the guy, I've got to say I'm Team Van Nistelrooy on that one. If Cody can't be asked to move up or even rent somewhere on the 90 grand a week he's on, then it says a bad thing.
Which wins as well, isn't it?
Yeah. But Nigel Pearson took over November 2011, so January 12 was his first window, and we'd gone from where we were signing 11, because Sven liked a good transfer window, didn't he? He was the Swedish Harry Redknapp.
Yeah.
But it kind of settled down a little bit. We tended to find that it was quality now rather over quantity, and that's not disrespecting Kasper Schmeichel, but the January 12 window, look, 4 players there, 2 of them were good, one of them I kind of thought was okay, and one of them, like, who? But we'll start. Look, Danny Drinkwater, £1 million from Man United, and yes, we know the way that he left and the way he went to Chelsea, and it pissed me off. But look, he obviously, we do it for money, we do it for jobs.
Yeah.
But what £1 million that was!
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And you know, he was the centre of the team that got us up the leagues, without any doubt at all. He held it all together in that midfield, while others played around him, and it was incredible.
I mean, when he started, there was him and Matty James.
Yeah,
who I think might be coming up in the next window. But I always preferred Matty James. Just unfortunately, he was a bit of a sick note.
Yeah. I mean, they were good together, and that's what made us good, because they could play together. We've had a few of those combinations, haven't we, in midfield? You know, Muzzy is it, and Neil Lennon, players like that who play off each other.
I think it's the same with the defence as well. Look, where's Morgan?
Yeah.
£1 million from Forest.
Oh, I bet they love that.
Yeah. Well, he's gone back there now, hasn't he, of course?
No.
You know, everybody kind of, you know, when they were moaning about, well, Cooper's been at Forest, you know, so was Morgan, and you were chanting his name and what have you. But again, when we got Huth a bit later, Morgan and Huth together, it's all about those little combinations, Vardy and Mahrez. You know, it's.
You couldn't say that now, could you? Vardy and who? Vardy and no one.
But no, Vardy and Takova Reed, both of them are like trying to push the wheelchairs up the pitch. You know. Yeah. What did you make of Ben Marshall?
I liked him.
I did.
Yeah, I thought he was good, but I think he let himself down badly, which was a shame. But yeah, when he was playing, I liked him. I thought he was quality.
I think,
as I say, his attitude wasn't right, was it?
This is the thing. Like you say, if everybody's attitude is good, it's like this team now. If their attitude and there was fight, you forgive those players so much, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah. You know, this is what was good about I shouldn't bang on about the old days, I know, but the old days. Well, we are, yeah. If you're having a bad game, just go and clatter somebody. Yeah. And that gets the crowd behind you. But that also builds everybody up and gets them going. And, you know, come on, lads, you know, we're all in it together. We've got to go out for the night. Or they don't even go out for the night anymore, do they? They're not together, just at training on the pitch. You know, they're not mates.
They're driving a couple of hours to the home.
Well, yeah, must go. I've got a babysit tonight, you know.
Yes.
Get in here.
Their friends, though, I remember the name,
winger.
But I don't remember him. I don't think he did an awful lot, did he?
He didn't. He was a winger, and I think he got injured. Early on with us. But,
who knew?
Yeah, he first couple of games, I think he scored. And I'd say I could be wrong, but it's just memory. And I thought, hey, this is all right, this. And then he just faded away, I think, whether that was the injury or again, attitude, I don't know. But, yeah, I think Nigel wouldn't have suffered him if he wasn't putting the effort in.
Yeah. But, yeah, as Georgie says there, good weekend and no Leicester to spoil it for us. Indeed. Now, are we ready for the summer 2012 window?
Ooh, yeah.
3 players, but one definitely probably made this one of the best, if not the best window in Leicester City's history. Take a bow, Mr. Vardy. Look, I know we've just been saying about him, and I think he has gone on too long. And, you know, I know Kate says sort of like, oh, you know, it should be up to him when he's not Kate, sorry. Craig says, you know, he's earned the right to decide when he leaves. No, he hasn't. Nobody earns that right. You know, they leave when the club says we've had enough of you. But he has gone past it. But he had a bit of a shaky start, didn't he? No pun intended there.
Yeah, he did.
But to be honest with you, has there ever been a better signing in Premier League history for the money?
No, never. I remember his early games and he didn't look good, but you could see he had something and he was fast. And to be honest, you go from Fleetwood to Leicester, and it's going to take time.
Yeah.
But it didn't take him that long. Well, it didn't seem to. And yeah, what a legend. And say Matty James coming as well, and even Richie Delat. I mean, you know, you remember that 5-2, whatever it was, you know.
Yeah.
And some of those through balls we don't play to him now. You know, I've probably seen 3 through balls to Vardy this year. I can remember. You know, and those chances he's had, he hasn't put away. But, you know, that was the way he worked. He got over it, he took the next chance and put it away.
Yes.
Now he's only getting 1 chance a game, if that. I don't think he got a kick on whenever the hell it was, did he?
No.
Wednesday or Thursday or whatever.
I mean, look, he took a while to settle, like we say. In fact, he was considering giving football up and going over and repping in Spain. But Vichai, rest in peace, put his arm around him and talked him in, and Nigel had a word. My God, you know, he was, and to think he wasn't first choice striker. I mean, there's that famous picture with him and
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane, that's it. On the subs bench.
Yeah.
You know, Nugent was our number 1, wasn't he?
Drinkwater was on the bench with him, wasn't he then?
Mm.
Yeah, Nugent was number 1 striker, rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so. I mean, the guy was cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
But obviously he was getting, you know, a little bit older. And what happened to Nugent was what should have happened to Vardy, really. Be replaced by a younger model, because that's what football's about. You never saw Ferguson hanging on to strikers or defenders too long.
No.
He shipped them out straight away.
I think the problem with Leicester is it's like with Mahrez. You know, how long has it taken us until we got Fatawu? All right, he's been injured, but until we got Fatawu to say we've actually got somebody that's as good as Mahrez, and I think that's going to happen. Everybody we've brought in, Musa, Daka. They're no Jamie Vardy, are they? Nobody's fucking Jamie Vardy apart from Jamie Vardy. You know.
No, I know.
Yeah, but look,
I think we ruined Daka. I don't know about Daka, but I think we ruined him. I think he's
a lot of players.
Very sensitive young man, and although he's been awful, the crowd need to support him or needed to.
But again,
too late now.
As with Vardy, have we been playing to their strengths?
No, not at all.
And
we don't play forward, so how can you?
Matty James there, $1 million for Man United. I preferred Matty James to Danny Drinkwater. I think Danny Drinkwater, he was good. A certain little French guy made him look a lot better probably than he was.
Yeah.
But Matty James I liked, but he was injury prone. Now Richie Delat, you mentioned it. That through ball for Vardy's, the fourth goal in that Man United game, but he was, dropped and replaced by Danny Simpson, and the rest, as they say, was history. But I didn't have any problems with Richie Delat. I thought he was a good player.
Yeah, he was probably better coming forward than he was defender, but that seems to be the Leicester way, doesn't it?
Yes.
We've had a few fullbacks like that, but no, I thought he was great. Decent player, £1 million was cracking value at the time. And he played a very important part.
Yeah. Marco Fuctus, unfortunate name. Rest in peace again, because he died, a few years ago. Didn't really get a chance with us. Dak Whitbread. I mean, again, I remember the name.
Yeah.
I remember the beer. I don't actually remember what he did.
I don't think he played a lot. No. Don't think so.
But look, this is the gamble, isn't it, with signing?
Yeah.
You don't know when you sign them. I mean, for the first couple of seasons, we'd have said Vardy was a write-off. But look, little Frenchman at the bottom there, 2.5 million from Greencamp, Mr. Anthony Knockaert. I was so looking forward to seeing Anthony Knockaert on one side and the certain, spindly Frenchman on the other wing. And then obviously Anthony Knockaert went on and did the interview where he said he sees Leicester as a stepping stone, and
Yeah.
not the sort of thing you say when Nigel Pearson's your manager.
No. And when you've missed a penalty in the playoffs, it's not the sort of thing you say, is it? Was it knock hard?
Well, he earned us the penalty, which wasn't a penalty.
Well, he dived, yeah.
Yeah. And then he insisted on taking the penalty when he wasn't the penalty taker.
Mm-hmm.
And then he missed the rebound. And of course, again, as they say, the rest, with Watford and Dini, don't scratch your eyes and all that shit. I tell you, when you look at him, the next season he was still with us. And when he got that goal that got us into the playoff final, the Allez Le Bleu Stringers commentary.
Yeah.
I mean, at least he again was putting the effort in, and I've seen Knockyard take a penalty than the other Frenchman that went to Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You know who I mean, and I can't think of his name again.
They showed it. I don't know what happened to it. I saw it the other day. I don't know if it was on TV or on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, but it still makes me shudder. Just even now. I mean, it was horrendous. It was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, the showboating. But
I tell you what, at Bournemouth, they loved him. The funny thing is, as soon as they got promoted, they dropped him.
Showboat when you're 6-0 up.
No, Delat got 2 medals. I think it was 2 championship medals, not Champions League medals. He got one with us because he played enough games, and one I think was with Royal Antwerp where he'd gone on loan to. Yeah. And yet there is talk about us going after Danny Grohl. Tuesday, by the way, Ronald, we're looking at a show about who we should it be Ruud van Nistelrooy that tries to bring us up next season? And if not, who? So that's Tuesday.
I've got my application in already. Can't do any fucking worse.
Exactly. I might have some Muppet pictures for that one, I'll tell you. So that was the summer window. And then in January, talk about ones that got away. We signed Michael Keane on loan, Jesse Lingard on loan,
bloody hell.
Harry Kane on loan, and Chris Wood. And I can remember, I'd forgotten it was West Brom we signed him to. I thought we got him from Millwall for some reason. It might have been against Millwall. I think he scored 6 goals in a game. So I remember doing a picture of him as like a 6-shooter in a Western cowboy outfit. And he scored our first ever Premier League goal under Pearson in the draw with Everton.
Yeah, he never really made it, did he, with us?
Well, I think he suffered, as a lot of strikers did, with Jamie Vardy coming through.
Yeah.
But you've got to say, he was one that got away, wasn't he?
Oh, totally, yeah. Well, they all were.
Well,
but Tottenham were never going to let us have Kane, were they?
Well, no, the funny thing was, we wanted Kane.
Yeah.
And
they farmed him out everywhere, didn't they, really?
The manager at the time, I believe, would have been happy to sell him to us. But it was the director of football or somebody that said, no, we're not selling him. He's a local lad. We've got hopes for him. Otherwise, he would have been a Leicester player.
He'd have won a trophy.
Jesse Lingard, I think we did. We got away with one there, didn't we?
Yeah, he didn't do much at all, did he?
No.
When it came. Big things were expected, but he didn't really play at all. Really.
He believed the about phase of his day. He believed his own publicity.
Yeah. Started off a good youngster, and it all went to his head.
Yes, definitely. And Michael Keane, I don't even remember him. But he was only on loan. Yeah,
he didn't play much for us either. I think he got injured. I might be making all this up, but I think there was a reason. I mean, he's only a young lad when he came to us anyway, but he's done all right. But
wasn't he late to training or something and he got sent back, or
something happened that was not? Yeah, there was something iffy there. But
that might be a couple of players that are coming up. But I think Chris Wood. I think it was unfortunate that we've got Nugent and we got Vardy and we got Ujoa as well.
Yeah.
So we got all those. Or had we got Ujoa at this point?
Not
yes,
yet.
we did.
Did we?
I think we did. I'm sure because he was in the. Oh no, because this was still in the Championship, wasn't it? So no, we wouldn't have had Joey yet. But I think I'm going ahead of myself. I just think it was unfortunate with Vardy coming through. Right, that summer we'd still got this gentleman in charge, Nigel Pearson, the tank that was Marcin Wasilewski on a free from Anderlecht. Didn't play regularly, didn't cement a place down. But I tell you what, if he'd walked up to me and said, "I'm playing this weekend," I said, "Play."
Yeah, and the only ridiculous thing that sticks in my head is a stupid foul away he gave away at Arsenal.
Yes.
Then to equalise 2-2.
Yes.
Or they beat us or something, wasn't it? It was such a stupid foul in a pointless position. And that kind of makes you realise why he didn't have a regular place.
Yes. Yeah.
Good backup, but not quite. You know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that to his face either.
he has a taste for wine glasses, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Gary Taylor-Fletcher. I mean, to me, this guy, I had to love him. He scored a couple of goals. He came from Blackpool on a free. He was like everybody's dad going out saying, right, we need an extra player. You'll do. Put a shirt on and get on the pitch. That's what he reminded me of.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't say he was actually fit, could you?
No.
But yeah, I quite liked him, I must say. I thought, was it a sweet left foot he'd got?
Yeah, I think it was,
but I thought he was all right, and he did okay for us. Especially, I mean, it was a free transfer from Blackpool, for crying out loud, But I thought he did all right.
And he was that extra striker.
He was also getting close to the end, I think.
He was.
All his good years had been there.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't have a problem with him at all.
No. And Dean Hammond there, who came from Southampton. I liked Dean Hammond, and I've had him on. Had him on the show because, of course, it was him that set up the goal for Esteban Cambiasso in the same 5-3. And like he said, he lives off that. But a really nice guy. But I thought, again, that experience, he did all right for us, didn't he?
Yeah, they loved him at Southampton. All my mates that support them thought he was great. Thought he was probably, again, on the way out. But, he was calm. He was professional. He sort of cooled it all down when it got a bit heated. But, he was okay.
Yeah. Now, the only thing I can remember about Ignazi Miguel, who was on loan from Arsenal, was at Bournemouth when I went to watch us play Bournemouth it's obviously the promotion year. Yeah. And I was sat behind the Leicester dugout, and obviously 3 rows back from that, you were having the players that had travelled but weren't in the first team squad. And I was taking a picture, saying, "Can I take a picture of you lads?" Because the only way I could get a ticket was in the Bournemouth side. And I remember him, bless him, looked at me and he's going like, "Why do you want me?" And I'm like, "Well, you're a Leicester player, you come from. Are you sure you want me?" And I thought, my God, if only more players were that, had that humility about them. But he didn't play much for us. Nor, let's face it, did Ayew go?
I don't know either of them really. I know the names, but I can't think of any time they played that made an impression on the team. But as you say, he was probably looking to build a squad, and that was the point. You've got to have backup, haven't you?
Yes. Wolves have gone ahead. Thank you, Paul. Wolves have gone ahead 2-1 against Ipswich.
Right.
So I think that's 3 of us are down. Wood was a great player, but to be fair, he's been a journeyman. Never settled down at one club for more than a couple of seasons. Well, I'd have him now, I'll tell you. And Andrew says, I don't think he was keen to sign for us. Oh,
I don't know.
We will move on swiftly from that. But yeah, those 2 players, like I say, that didn't work out. But Marcin Wasilewski, you certainly, you knew that he would give his all. You knew he would give his all.
Very scary, wouldn't he?
Yes. January 2014, still Nigel Pearson at this point. Wow. Look, we signed Kevin Phillips, who got said goal at Bournemouth, our oldest player to ever score for us. He came on a free, and a certain Mr. Mahrez, who'd been at, I think it was Motherwell or St Mirren, St Mirren in Scotland, and didn't like it and was pinched a bike to try and get away. And we signed him for 350k from Le Havre. Everybody said, who was he? Wow. If Vardy was the best £1 million player, was this guy the best technical player we ever had at the club?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a nightmare first year.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry. I just seen the Leatherhead score.
Winning.
They lost 8-0
Ooh.
at Uxbridge, and they're trying to get in the playoffs. And Simon Kay's lads playing in goal for them.
Oh.
I know. Anyway, sorry about that. It just hit me on the video.
Yeah, he did have a bad start, but then so did Vardy.
But his first season, all he wanted to do was fall over.
Yeah.
But I think probably Vard said a word, and a few others had a word. You can say Wes Morgan would have had a chat. This is not the way we play here. Get up and do your job, and he did. And that was sad the way he left, wasn't it? I understand he wanted to get away. You don't know what went on behind the scenes, whether he was promised he could leave or what was said. And it was a dream move, wasn't it, really?
Well, look, as I say, and I said this about Enzo, we hate players and managers that leave to go to bigger clubs.
Yeah.
But we do it in our jobs. If somebody approaches you and offers you more money to go and work for them, and it's a bigger company, you don't think about it. You go, and he'd given us that extra years that, for example, Kante didn't, and he'd given us. We don't think we'd have done as well in the Champions League without him. He'd given us that year, and maybe that was or give us one more year, and then
and then there'll be no problem. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But we made some money on him as well, didn't we?
Well, just a tad, just a little bit. It would keep us going for a while, wouldn't it?
It did. Could do with a player like that now.
Oh God, couldn't we just? And then the summer of 2014, we got promotion. We'd lost out to Watford in the playoffs. And in a way, I think the season after that in the Championship, we broke every record going. Now, I know we are doing now for how bad we are, but then it was for how good we were as a club. And so we're back in the Premier League, and Nigel Pearson, well, how the hell did he pull? I still cannot believe that I watched this man in a Leicester shirt score, and I was there. One of those moments. Esteban Cambiasso on a free from Inter Milan. How does that work?
I don't know. Perhaps it was the only offer he had to play in the Premier League, and that was what he wanted.
He did. And look, he only stayed with us for a year, which was,
that was the saddest bit, wasn't it? But
yes.
As it turned out, I bet he regrets that.
Possibly, but then the dynamic would have been different with him in the squad, wouldn't it?
Yeah, true. True.
But he went to Greece and Athens, I think it was, in the Champions League. But he was always he always followed Leicester still. He used to tweet about Leicester results and what have you. Look, we said about free signings before. Mark Albrighton on a free from Villa. Wow. Just retired from the game. But you could even, when he came on, if he wasn't starting, when he came on, it gave the crowd a lift, didn't it?
Yeah. And, he should have been playing much longer than he did at Leicester. He wasn't given a chance. He he's still the best crossover ball probably since Steve Guppy.
Yes.
And Vardy knew where it was going to go. And it's like, you can't take one away and expect a guy to do it on his own. Vardy needed people like him throwing the balls in at the right place. And Albrighton did it right until the end.
Yes.
I was really upset, actually, when he went, was it to West Brom, wasn't it, on loan? I thought he could have done a job for us.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, like I say, when he came on, the crowd got that lift. And well, these days, I suppose, if he was putting a ball in the box, there's nobody in the box, is there?
Right, yeah. But nobody's putting the ball in the box anymore.
No. Well, there's nobody there always for them on the end of it, is there? Yeah. Matt Upson, I don't know what happened to him. He kind of disappeared.
He got injured. He had a bad injury, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, because he was an England international, wasn't
he? Yeah. And Ben Hamer, the goalkeeper that we signed that stayed with us for years, and his only contribution was having 5 put past him in the Champions League, bless him. Yeah. But he was there. He was there as the backup.
I thought he was a decent keeper, yeah.
Again, I think he suffered because Schmeichel was never sort of injured or banned, was he?
No. And
Ronald said there he remembers Chris Kelly from Leatherhead.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Leo Ujoa, 8 million from Brighton. Pearson asked the defenders who was the most difficult player to play against, and his defenders came back and said Ujoa. They did destroy us in that game after we got 1 promotion, but the players were all hung over. He left us under a cloud as well, didn't he?
Well, I didn't realise how much of a cloud till I, again, read it this week. I think it was on Facebook. He was promised something, and then they went and signed somebody else and got rid of him.
Yeah, and that was Ranieri. Ranieri.
Yeah, that surprised me, that.
Yeah, it'd been promised. I mean, all right, there's 2 sides to every story, of course there is. But, he wasn't playing that much at the end. And let's be honest with you, in that Premier League winning season, he was number 2 to Vardy.
Yeah.
He got that first headed goal. My God, did he power that headed goal in against Man United? He got the penalty against Norwich. It was always, to my mind, Mr. Reliable.
And I think also when Vardy was banned, if you remember the West Ham game, and he made it worse and had a 2-match ban or 3-match ban, Ujoa came in and did it.
Yes.
He did the business, because did we put 5 past Swansea the next game?
Something
like that, wasn't it?
Yes. But who needs Vardy, eh?
Well, that was it, yeah. And he always stepped up when you needed it. And the penalty, was that Watford, you say, that one?
Norwich, I think it was.
Norwich, sorry, yeah. I mean, Jesus, what nerve. I mean, if he'd have thought about it, he'd be saying, oh my God, what am I doing?
I like him. And he did a thing when I had the website running. He did a sort of my 5 favourite things section. And I met him at a petrol station, funnily enough, after the Man United game, I think it was. I was filling up on the Beaver Drive. There's a petrol station there.
Yeah.
And he was filling up as well, as they say. He had a very nice girlfriend.
I can imagine. Very attractive young man.
Yeah. Danny Simpson, 2 million from QPR. He had been at Man United. A bit of a naughty boy off the pitch, but came in, replaced Richie Delat, and never looked back.
No. That was a heck of a back 4, wasn't it, really, when you think about it? Eventually, anyway. But yeah, I mean, as you say, he was a troubled young man off the pitch, but he was brilliant.
Yeah.
And to replace Delat was a tricky one, I reckon. But Simpson was brought in as more.
Anything wrong?
No, but I think Simpson was more to defend. I think Nigel Pearson decided that his defenders would defend.
Yeah.
And not. I mean, you look at the eventual back 4 he ended up with. Maybe apart from Fuchs, there was not a real ball player there, was there? And I think that's not being too unkind.
No.
So that was the reason for it, I think.
Yeah. Ronald says that pen was against West Ham. I thought he's got the penalty against Norwich that caused the earthquake.
Yeah.
Or was that just a goal? I
think that was a last-minute goal, wasn't it?
Possibly.
It came across the box and he slid in.
I will go with you on that because I struggle to remember what I had for breakfast. So going back to 2014, Tom Lawrence. Now these were the two. One of these, I'm guessing it was Nick Powell, was sent back early because he was turning up late for training or something, and Pearson didn't like it. Tom Lawrence never really got a look in, and then Nick Powell was sent back early.
Tom Lawrence, decent player. Did he get a derby in the end?
He didn't. Again, how many players were looking at it and they said, well, they didn't really sort of settle.
Yeah, I know. I think that's always a problem when you come into a relatively successful team. Somebody has to lose their place if they're mates.
Yeah. I'd say 50% of the players we've talked about so far, 50% of them didn't settle for whatever reason, or just didn't get the chance because the team was playing so well.
Yeah.
Right. January 2015, Nigel Pearson. Now, loan. If ever a loan works out, we didn't know at the time, but Robert Huth on loan from Stoke. Everybody says we have to sign him in the summer. Oh, look, he'd done it at Chelsea. He'd won 2 medals at Chelsea, winning the Premier League twice. Doing all right at Stoke, hadn't won anything. What a signing he was for the club.
Yeah. That finished off that back four perfectly, didn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely perfect. I didn't think so at the time. I was a little bit surprised, but you knew as soon as they'd had a few games together it was going to work. And what I didn't realise till later on, Wes Morgan said that it was Huth that directed everything.
Mm.
You know, you thought as Morgan as captain would have been the director, but no, Huth was sorting them all out back there.
Well, I think Huth made Morgan a better player.
Yeah.
And he'd got the experience that Morgan hadn't probably got.
He'd done it, hadn't he? He'd won trophies.
Yeah. But like you said, sometimes it's that pairing, isn't it, that just clicks, like Vardy and Mahrez, N'Golo and Danny Drinkwater and Huth and Morgan. For me, this one is the classic, the one that got away. Andrej Kramaric, 9 million from Rekia. Now, this was the escape year. The thing I remember about driving up from Bournemouth every weekend to Leicester, every other weekend to Leicester, and then driving back down again, having lost. 2 things was that A, the players did battle, but B, they seemed to not want to shoot. They'd get to the edge of the box and then think, where do I go? This time when he was on, and didn't play that much, but when he was on, at least he wasn't scared to have a shot. And he went on to Hoffenheim in Germany and was scoring for fun. I think it's a shame. Again, another one that probably suffered because we had Jamie Vardy.
Well, he was still an international, wasn't he, till a few years ago? But no, I liked him. I thought he was great, and it was sad he didn't get a chance. I think he could have worked well with Vardy maybe, but then, as you say, we had Mahrez and 1 or 2 others knocking on the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a decent signing. Not a fair bit of money then, but a decent signing, and yes.
I bet he's worth a lot more now.
Well, he certainly was worth more. I don't know what happened. Did we sell him, or did we release him, or his contract?
We sold him, I think. We sold him.
Yeah.
As Ronald says there, Kramaric was certainly the one who got away.
Yeah.
Blue Fox, what I'd give to sign a quality player like Huth. Oh, tell me. And Schwarzer, he was really just making the numbers up. He was our goalkeeping cover, really, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That came along. So that was January 2015. And then, of course, summer 2015, it all happened. We all went off to Thailand, got the mobile phones out. 3 players were released, one of which was the boss's son. So Nigel Pearson followed them out the window. And we signed this gentleman, a certain Mr. Ranieri, who had come from Greece. He'd been sacked by Greece because they couldn't even beat the Faroe Islands. And everybody was going, who? Why? And I always say, you'll remember me always saying this, where I was writing for the Metro at the time, and I went, everybody said, oh, what's he ever won? Blah, blah, blah. And he'd won a few cups, but he'd got teams to second, third, fourth without actually winning any leagues. And I said, if he could get Leicester to second, third, or fourth, I would be more than happy. Who was to know? But I've put on the next page, I've put Pearson and Ranieri, because Pearson was there for the start of the window. Ranieri was at the end. And we'll go straight to this guy. Again, 5.6 million from Khan. He has now, again, forgive me if I'm wrong here, I believe that he was a Pearson signing, but he completed his signing under Ranieri and had a second thought about whether to join us because we'd sacked Pearson. And they said, well, come for a season. And I think his agent said, go for a season and just bed into English football and then we'll have a look.
And
he did kind of leave very quickly. But my God, was it Ranieri said one day we're going to see him put a cross in and end up on the end of it?
Yeah. Incredible, wasn't
he? Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. It was such a shame when he left. I mean, it was inevitable, whether it was that year or the year after, but it was inevitable. But such a shame.
Yeah. Yeah. He was unbelievable. He never actually got many goals. I think he only got one, possibly two. But what he did, he controlled that midfield, didn't he? And I'm sorry, he did make Danny Drinkwater better than he probably was.
You know what? I don't think people knew what the hell had happened when he played because they've never seen anybody like ball chasing.
Yeah.
And but he was so quick. He was on them all the time, and he was clearing up as well after everybody. It was absolutely incredible. And of course, it was his first year in English football, so not many people knew of him. I mean,
went on to win the Championship the next season, or the Premier League the next season with Chelsea. Small matter of a Champions League and a World Cup then as well with France. So he's not had a bad career after we brought him over, has he? I want to talk about the guy above him, a certain Mr. Smiler, Shinji Okazaki. I can remember the first game that season. We were playing Sunderland.
Yes.
And I'd given my season ticket up. Great decision. But we played there. I think it was something like 4-2 or something like that.
It was,
I sat down the side because I'd had to buy separate tickets. And I turned to my son and I was watching this Japanese guy and I went, he's like a bulldog after a bone. I said, he has not stopped running and going after people. He doesn't give anything up. He says if he doesn't get the first ball, he's there for the second. And if the second one fails, he's trying to get the third ball. And I said, he's never going to last 90 minutes. And he never did.
No, never did.
60 minutes, he's off.
But God,
what a backup player for Vardy.
In those two players, Chris, you've just described, or we've just described, what we have not had for a year. We've not had players who don't give up, who keep running, who even some of the players I thought would do that have given up. You know, they've made one run or they can't be bothered to close down. And Vardy's up there trying to close down, but he's looking around, there's nobody behind him. Yeah. These players never stopped. You're right, never stopped.
No. And look, we signed Robert Huth, that was a no-brainer. And then a certain Mr. Christian Fuchs, again on a free.
I didn't realise that was a freebie.
Yeah.
That is amazing. What a player he was. What a bloke.
Look, I mean, again, find me a Leicester player that didn't love Christian Fuchs, and I'll find you a virgin in Leatherhead.
Let me know if you do. But that finished off the back four, didn't it?
Yes.
That really did. Completed the set.
Yes.
And I don't think they changed much at all.
I think no. I mean, we had a very good year with injuries. The odd suspension,
we were
the odd
lucky with
but
that.
nothing major. We had the ice tank, didn't we, or whatever it was?
Yeah.
And I remember a few years after this, because of course Christian Fuchs, his contract had run out. He was supposed to be going back to America to be with his family, but he kept signing 1-year extensions. And I remember being on the breakfast show on Talk Sport on one weekend, Saturday or Sunday, and I remember the guy. He works for the Guardian as well as Talk Sport, Irish guy. I remember him saying, he said, "Will you ever let Christian Fuchs go?" And I said, "This just proves we are the Hotel California of the Premier League, because once you sign in, you never leave." You know, a little musical reference there for you.
I know, you fitting them in.
What a great
that was
sign.
a good year. You know, I know it's a good year anyway, but even those signings that didn't really make it, were decent players. I mean, Gokhan didn't really get in the team, did he? Benalou,
He was Swiss captain.
Yeah, I know. Just didn't make it. Nathan Dyer scored the winner against Villa. Nearly took his head off.
Didn't know about it.
No. But important things like that they all contributed, but they never really took the next step on.
No. But I mean, Benalou again. I only found out this the other day. Somebody told me. I think it was on the show that Benalou was Martin O'Neill's first signing as Nottingham Forest manager.
Oh, blimey!
But again,
he
came in Turkish international, but he just didn't, or Tunisian international. Sorry, but he just couldn't break into that back four.
No.
And I think with a lot of these players, it's what ifs. If we hadn't signed Huth, Benalou would have probably been our main, defender. If N'Golo Kante hadn't turned out to be how he was, Gokhan Inler would have probably been in there. But what a good window that is when you look at it overall.
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty solid stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. And then we had, hey, just for you. If anybody doesn't remember and anybody watches it, and Kate did say I should have put little Danny popping up every now and again, smiling in the corner of the chat. But I couldn't do that to you, Dave.
Didn't have a massive problem with him. I just didn't.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah. I thought he was a midfielder, not a defender. He was a terrible defender, but half decent midfielder. And they, 5 million. Daniel Amarty's worth 5 million. What am I? Damari Gray was an interesting one though as well, because a mate of mine, as a Birmingham supporter, lived in Leatherhead at the time, and he said he's rubbish, because I thought, we bought Gray for 3.5 million. He said he's rubbish. He starts off well, and then that's it. He don't do anything, and it kind of went a bit like that, didn't it?
It did, and I've got a mate who was a Birmingham fan, and funnily enough, he said the opposite. He said, God, we didn't want him to go.
Oh, okay.
That's football fans for you.
Well, true, yeah.
I mean, for Damari Gray, he always promised a lot but never delivered.
Yeah.
He was like a postman on strike. You know what I mean? We will always remember him, obviously, for as we said the other night on one of the shows, he'll be remembered for that goal against Cardiff after the chairman died, and ripping his shirt off and getting booked. He'll always be remembered for that. But I always remember he's one of those players that, if flattered to deceive, he'd be sat on the bench, he'd come on as a sub, and he'd do really, really well. So you'd give him a start, and he'd be rubbish.
Yeah,
then you bring him on as a sub, he'd do well. And towards the end, he just couldn't be bothered. I think it was such a shame. When he went to Germany, they only had him a year, and he came back and he went to Everton. I think he's in Saudi now. But look, poor old Daniel Amarty. In his defence, he looked 40 when he was 21, and he was. Do you know who he reminded me of? Phil Neville. Bit of a utility player, but not any good at any of the positions really.
I think he started off playing in midfield for us.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It was okay.
Yeah.
And then suddenly becomes put in the back four, maybe because of injuries. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he made so many mistakes, not difficult mistakes, just one where the ball bounced off him, and went to the attacker and they put it away and that sort of stuff. And, I thought you can do that in midfield, but you can't do it like Samari does now. You almost get away with it in midfield, but not in the back four.
The only way I can describe this guy is about phase with a suntan.
I don't think he had Faze's attitude. I think he was probably a nicer bloke, and didn't think too much of himself.
Yeah, no, he did, and this is the problem, isn't it? That when you've got, when the manager comes to you and says, "Will you play in this position?" I know it's not your normal, but we need somebody in that position.
Well, what do you do? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. He was a lot. It's like James Justin this year. There was a lot of mistakes in him. But we will always remember him fondly as the one that you.
Of course we will. And I saw a shirt with his name on. I think it was the West Ham last game of our last Premier season.
Yeah.
This guy was wearing a Daniel Amati shirt, and I thought, okay, somebody loves you.
And was there a couple of men in white coats either side?
Yeah, he's on a trolley. Oh my life!
Then to summer 2016, and this was almost on the cards because when we signed Claudio Ranieri, I actually did a chat, and it was actually no, I didn't. It was a sort of a written thing, and there was an Italian football psychologist, and she said, the thing with Ranieri is when he goes in to a club, he does very, very well with the players that are there. Give him a couple of years, bringing in his own players, and it all goes wrong. And if you look, he's never really been anywhere more than 2 or 3 years.
No, not successfully.
Like Peter Taylor, when he had Martin O'Neill's squad, we were top of the Premier League.
Yeah.
Robert Zieler.
I'm looking at some of those fees.
Yeah.
They are disgraceful.
Yeah, but I can translate Robert Zieler into English for you. Shit.
Yeah. £3 million worth.
Yes. Luis Hernandez. I've no idea. Somebody tell me who the hell was Luis Hernandez?
No, I don't think he ever played, did he?
I don't think he did.
No.
I don't think he did. Now, Papa Mendy.
Yeah, a decent player, I thought.
Yeah. Again, you've got Drinkwater in there and what have you.
Was he bought specifically to replace Kante?
Yes, he was. He was.
And similar sort of player, same height.
Yeah.
But that was the idea, wasn't it? Which was a pretty smart idea at the time. But then he never played.
He was never given the chance. We got Tinkerman back, hadn't we? You know what I mean? Look, I think this was one that got away. Ahmed Musa, and I think he suffered because of Jamie Vardy as well. 16 million.
It's a lot of money.
And he came obviously at the same time as Slimani as well.
Yeah.
But do you remember his first game? And we always say this with a lot of these signings. It's, do you remember when?
Yeah.
And his first game, I think he got 3 against Barcelona in that stupid Champions Cup thing.
Yeah.
We lost 4-3, but he took. But then Ranieri never played him up front. He played him on the wing, and he's not a winger. A winger was Kapuchka, 2.5 million. We never saw him. He was supposed to be the next best thing. He was the under-21 best player at the under-21 Euros or whatever it was, Polish, I think, and we bought him, and he played again 2 games, didn't we? But talk to me about Slimani.
30 million. Well, he was brought in because he was a mate of Mahrez, wasn't he, or something like that. And I thought he was a clumsy, old-fashioned striker at first. But I know he scored a few goals for us. But I think I'd have rather have had. I don't know who I'd rather have had. But for 30 million, we could have got anybody.
He was top scorer, I think, in Portugal.
Yeah.
He always got a goal against Sporting Lisbon, and he did get for us in the Porto. Sorry, he played for
Porto. Yeah.
We got him for Sporting Lisbon. He was he got a goal against Porto, which he did in the cups. Now the funny thing is, when I look back on YouTube at some old shows, he got quite a few assists for Vardy. You know.
Yeah, probably because of the knock-ons and all that.
You know, and again, you know, when old Brighton was putting those balls in, and he said, "Oh, we need a good old-fashioned centre forward."
Yeah,
he was the guy that was on the end there.
Yeah,
but again, you know, changes of managers, etc., and Vardy's just being Vardy. He never really got another look in.
And I think also at 30 million, you were probably expecting a bit more, aren't you?
Yes,
than he gave us. Cabbage.
I just think he never. We kind of then just kind of loaned him out, and he never really did well anywhere else. I think after the first, you know, when you're being loaned out again and again, you kind of think, I'm not obviously in Leicester's thoughts. What am I bothering? You know what I mean? It's
because you're getting paid.
Yeah, there is that, of course, but that's very old-fashioned thing to say, isn't it, these days?
Yeah.
You know.
But was he better than Ujala?
You see, that was the thing. I don't know if he was.
I think he was probably more direct and powerful, but I don't think he was a better footballer.
No.
And, you know, I think it was a big mistake. But as you say, that was Ranieri. I mean, we saw it all going wrong, didn't we, early on in the season when he started playing continental football.
Yes.
And the Leicester way to win the title had been knock it up the middle and bang it in.
Yes.
And we stopped doing that.
I mean, I always thought that Ranieri's signings were awful. And no worse necessarily than anybody before him or after him. But there, I think you had Mendy, Musa and Slimani, who, had they been used right, we'd have better memories of them. Yeah.
I mean, you've got, over £50 million worth of signings there.
Yeah.
Three of them. Forgetting old Ron Robert. Who names a child Ron Robert? Eh? Make your mind up. You want Ron or Rob? You know? God help us.
It's very, very...
hindsight's a wonderful thing, though.
In Germany, apparently.
Oh, good. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. If you're not proven if you're not proven in the Premier League, should you sign them? But then, you know, we know a young man or two young men that weren't proven, three young men even, who actually probably are best players of all time.
Yeah.
So that argument doesn't work either. Yeah, I think you're right. That's what I was thinking. Mahrez's mate. Yeah. But no,
Mahrez was still there, and we kind of probably hoped they'd play well together. But
I did. I remember thinking that. I thought, well, that's probably a shrewd move if they're mates to play for Algeria together. Yeah. It could be, but it never was it?
Never quite worked out.
No.
Now, if you sign two players in one window, you would generally say you're going to get at least 50% right, wouldn't you, really?
You'd hope.
Well, it's going to be pretty decent. Well, no, in fairness, in January, probably I think it was the last one under Claudio, we actually did get one right and one completely wrong. January 2017, we signed Wilfred Indeed for 17 million from Genk and Mola Wagyu on loan from Udinese.
I have no idea who that is.
I know. I knew you wouldn't because I haven't either. Believe you me. When I was doing all these graphics, I'm thinking I was doing them at least on one on every one. Going, Who was that?
Sounds like a dessert or something, doesn't it?
Australian cake.
Yeah. I've never heard of him. That's awful, isn't it?
It is. But look, Indeed,
he's done as good. It's sad now, but he's done as good. Yeah.
That's the problem, though. It's like we're holding on to players past the best, aren't we?
Oh, we're playing him back the way he was when he was bad. The last time we got relegated, when they changed him for the championship season, he looked a different player.
Yes,
didn't he? And now he's gone back to playing in midfield with another failed midfielder, Samare.
Yeah.
And you think, what's Harry Winks done? It's obviously pissed the manager off somehow, but come on, get over it.
Yeah.
It's a great signing, though. He really was a great signing.
Overall, there's been more pluses for him, but under Enzo, he looked a different player completely.
Yeah,
and I watched one of the matches recently, and I'm not sure who had it on the right hand side, but he did a run inside, passed into the corner, and was going to take the ball again. It was a bad pass. Who knew? I'm thinking that's what he was doing all season under Enzo, and then getting the cross in. But I have to say that was £17 million well spent.
Yeah.
But we were skirting with the doing well in the Champions League. Obviously, we're doing very well in the Champions League. A bit like Villa this season, but worse than Villa. Villa have obviously not performing in the way they were last season because of the Champions League. And it affected us as well. We were down the bottom. And round of 16, I think it was, first leg, they decided Ranieri had to go. And I remember Jason Cundy having a go at me on the radio. Why are you sacking your manager when he's won you that? I said, but you sack managers when they win you the Champions League. Don't have a go at me for that. Rest in peace. What a lovely, lovely man. Craig Shakespeare wasn't with us that long as manager. Again, when you look back, we did actually have quite a history of sacking people.
Yeah, we did. I think the chairman at the time was decisive. He knew what he wanted. He knew there was one way of getting it. And if you didn't perform, you were out.
Yes.
How different is it now?
Yeah. And I think as well, when Craig came back with Dean Smith, I think one of the reasons that Dean Smith was welcomed was because Shaky was with him.
Totally. Yeah.
But his first window was the summer of 17. That sounds like a Bryan Adams song, doesn't it? Harry Maguire, 17 million from Hull. Vincent Iborra, 15 million, Seville. Yakubu, 3 million from Hull. Kelechi Iheanacho, 25 million, Man City. Dragovic on loan from Bayer Leverkusen. And Silva, 22 million plus 13 seconds from Sporting Lisbon. Let's start at the top. Harry Maguire. Absolutely love this man. 17 million. And what I like about this man is that when he left to join Man United, and that was his club, he never said, denied it. Like with Heskey, Liverpool was his. He knew his contract was coming up, and we approached him, and he said, "Look, I want to go to Man United. However, you saved my career when I got relegated with Hull. You saved my career, so I don't want to just walk out on you. So I want to give you." I'll sign a new contract, but there's going to be conditions in there that if a certain team comes in or a team that in Europe, whatever, I can talk to them. And if they hit a certain price, and that's why we got £80 million for him. Compare that to Yuri Tielemans.
I knew where you were going.
You did, didn't you? What is it? Why is it with signing wankers from Belgium?
I don't think Tielemans would have got to Villa if he'd have signed a new contract with us. I don't think Villa would have paid a big price for him. I think they took a chance on him.
5 or 10 million for
Oh,
him.
yeah.
You know.
I mean, that would have been, but we wouldn't have sold him for that, would we? We'd have wanted 60, 70, 80 million, and
Yeah.
nobody would have paid that. And I think, I mean, he had a bad year the first year with them, didn't he, with Villa? It's only this year, I think he's an ever-present now, that he started to perform.
Yeah.
So I think Villa thought they took a chance on him because, you know, he wasn't playing well for us, was he? Towards the end, that last season, he weren't great. As either was Maguire in his last season with us. I mean, to get 80 million for somebody who was looking a bit caught out a few times was pretty impressive, to be honest. Out of that lot, I like Abora. I thought he was brilliant. Didn't get a
He never
chance,
got, again, how often have we said this? He never got a chance, really, did he?
but I thought it was quality. I really did. And when he played, he was good. But why he didn't play more often, I don't know. Maybe he looked lazy. Maybe people didn't think he put the effort in. But when Bobby Moore looked lazy,
Yes.
you know, I mean,
For anybody under the age of 30, please go on to Google.
you know, everybody knows Bobby Moore.
Pukovic, he was, I mean, 3 million for Hull. I don't think he ever got on the pitch for us.
No, I think the Vitches struggled a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, he was there. Yeah,
All
I
the
thought you
bitches.
said the bitches. Then I'm going to say it's a bit harsh. It's not nice. Yeah, I think with he was there again, a bit like the old there was that Australian guy we'd signed a few seasons before, Mark Schwarzer. He was there as cover, you know.
Yeah.
But look, Iheanacho, 25 million. I thought, wow, this is the guy. Can you imagine him and Vardy together, two up front? It never happened.
Happy days, that would have been. It didn't. And when it did, it worked. Well, it worked for a while at Brighton, but then it all went pear-shaped. But no, I think, again, he was a quality player, but I think his confidence took big hits. You know, I think he needed to be high on confidence, which meant he should play regularly. And he didn't. So he was always starting from scratch, and it went against him. But saying that, he was still popular.
Yes, you know, when people sort of say, you know, the players aren't particularly that good, and you say, well, yeah, but they've not had much of a chance. You know, everybody's saying like, oh, Oliver Skipp is rubbish. Well, when have you seen him play? He's hardly played, you know. Yeah. But it was, I mean, that time when he was playing up front, and he was kind of the main striker with Vardy playing off him, he was top scorer.
Yeah.
You know, talking about the bitches.
another bitch.
I don't remember him at all.
Another name, but I can't remember him doing anything.
And look, Adrian Silva, again from Sporting Lisbon. I thought he was a half decent player, but look, he had 6 months out the game. What a cock up!
It started as a cock up and it finished as one, didn't it? Because he was a quality player. When he played, he was class.
Yeah.
But you know, from start to finish, it was just a total screw up of his life, really. And I felt sorry for the bloke because he was him and Abora. You know, they were both quality players.
Yeah.
And add to the other midfielders that were quality, they should have done all right. But
both internationals.
Yeah, but never really became legends, which they should have been, really.
No. But then we started to flirt with relegation again. And we brought in Mr. Puel. Now, everybody seems to sort of moan about Claude Puel. I think when you look back, I don't think it was as bad as people seem to remember.
I mean, of course, as I always do, when we sign people from Southampton, I get on the phone. And the first words were he started really well for Southampton, and then it became dull and boring. And the more results went against, the more negative it became. And I think we saw that, didn't we? But I don't think it was a bad manager. I thought we did all right for a while. But we got to the phase then that we were expected too much. You know, we wanted Champions League every year. We were expecting to win something.
Yeah.
And that's the danger. And people say, well, why shouldn't you expect it now? You know, well, even Man United, Man City can't expect it now. they've got to keep working hard like Ferguson did every year to change it, to clean it up. You got rid of Beckham, you get rid of Van Nistelrooy, you get rid of a few others, and bring new players in. We stopped being able to do that. I don't know what his transfer window was like, obviously, but it'd be interesting to know. That'd be the January one, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, as Ronald says there, Nacho got us to the cup final. If we're honest,
Yeah.
So his first transfer window was always going to be obviously the January of 2017. Wasn't the busiest of transfer windows. We brought in one player. I always said that compared to some of the windows coming up, that was busy.
Diabetes.
Diabetes, yes. Exactly.
Sorry, I'm dyslexic.
And about as popular.
I mean,
scored 3 goals against Peterborough on his debut. Was going to be the next Riyad Mahrez, and disappeared up his own backside.
I remember I was at a wedding that day. That was the FA Cup, wasn't it, at Peterborough?
Yeah.
We 4 something, was it?
Yeah, he ran amok apparently.
Yeah, Iniacho got one there, did he as well? Or because Iniacho couldn't score a goal to start with, but then I think it all happened there. Yeah, he did that and never came back, did he?
It was almost like a man with premature ejaculation. It all came very early for him.
Yeah.
Nothing afterwards. I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right. Just talk dirty to me if you want.
You enjoy it. So yeah, that wasn't a successful window. But then we came to summer of 18, still under Claude 12. We got Johnny Evans for 3.5, Maddison for 25, Piera 22, Danny Ward 12.5. Rachid Gazelle for 12 million, Philip Benkovic for 13 million, and Kaglas Oyuncu from 19. 50-50, there are some good signings in there.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 6 or even 7.
I mean, first of all, Johnny Evans, who looked a liability when we first signed him, became a mainstay, and then just couldn't be asked at the end.
No. Mahrez, Pereira, sadly has become a sick note, but he's been brilliant. I think he was the only one that showed any fight on Man City, wasn't he?
He got Alan, who does my man of the match. He gave Ricardo the man of the match, and he was only on for about 16 minutes. Yeah. But, well, look, he has become a bit of a sick note. But
Rachel Gazelle, I think.
And Maddison, look, he's gone to Spurs. He's having a tough time at Spurs. Again, brilliant player for us.
Yeah.
Thing is with him, he did not want to go.
No.
He did not ask to leave. He did not go on strike.
He didn't want to go to Tottenham anyway.
No.
But,
he didn't go and sit at East Midlands Airport waiting for his phone.
No.
But he went, and we thank him. I've got his signed shirt up there, and I will keep it because, it's...
I've got nothing. I think he's a great guy. Yeah, I loved him when he was there, and I kind of hope he does well, but not for Tottenham.
Yes, yeah. Danny Ward.
Danny Ward. Well, I'm going to always disagree with you. I know he's gone now, but when he was playing, it wasn't his fault. A lot of the stuff, the defense was awful. He made errors, but when a defense is like that, the keeper's going to make errors. Yes. But it's easy to jump on the bandwagon, isn't it, of a goalkeeper? And he's a Welsh international, for crying out loud. Not that means a lot, but it's better than not being. And I just think he got unlucky in the end. I mean, if you think back when he was just second to Schmeichel, he came on, played cup games, got us through to rounds, penalty saving, he played well. So that defence was awful.
It was. No matter how good your goalkeeper is, if the defence in front of them is not.
I think Casper would have struggled behind that defence that year.
Yeah. Well, he did at the end, didn't he, Casper?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Probably why he went.
His contract's up at the end of this season, and I think we'll And it just didn't work out for the lad. Like you said, he deserved his chance. The thing was, he hadn't had that many Premier League games because Schmeichel was never injured again.
No.
You know. Rachi Gazelle, again, the new Mahrez that never was, as was Benkovic. Both of them kind of came and went, didn't they? Benkovic played more for Celtic than he did for us.
A lot of money, isn't it? You know, if you think lots of money, 37.5 million for 3 players that we didn't really make the most of. Or
that was a lot of money for a number 2 goalkeeper, wasn't it?
So, yeah.
But Soyuncu, and look, Blue Fox says here, you know, Puel actually made some good signings. He did. And Soyuncu, he probably had the advantage of having a year before Maguire moved on. But, he was dropped by Rodgers for some reason, whatever. And then John Terry came in, who's not a bad defender himself, with Dean Smith, and said, why the bloody hell isn't he in the squad? Why is he training with the youngsters?
I mean, he was great. A great character. I don't know what happened with Rodgers. I don't really care, to be honest. But he always came over, even if he was on the bench, came over to the crowd at the end of the game. You know, and just, if anyone wanted photo or signature, he'd do it.
Yeah.
Maybe just making a point. I don't know. I don't think players are smart enough to make points like that, generally speaking. But no, he was great. Liked him a lot.
Let's not forget as well, with Soyuncu, he had a big cock.
Well, I wouldn't know that, Chris, but you know.
I only know because of the song. Let me just.
If you say so.
Oh, and then look.
Actually, what's it's just said there? They are pretty impressive signings for Puel.
Yes,
Aren't
they are. Could I just say some full times here? Everton 1, Arsenal 1, Palace 2, Brighton 1, Ipswich 1, Wolves 2. I think that's us and Ipswich down. West Ham 2, Bournemouth 2. Yeah. So again, I don't think I have got many in the prediction league again.
Uxbridge 10, Leatherhead 0.
10-0 now.
10-0 final score. Jesus.
Oh, I thought 8-0 was the final score.
No, they scored 2 in 90 minutes, 90th minute.
Ouch.
Oh dear. I have to message
I don't
Simon.
think you're getting much sympathy off Leicester fans for Leatherhead.
No. But they've been playing so well. You know, that just shows you football, doesn't it?
Yes.
Uxbridge was second in the league, but even so, you know, these things can happen.
They do. Right. So, you know, we said about Robert Huth, how a loan signing and then somebody was signed permanently is, you know, well, if Robert Huth was good, I know I've complained about the way that this guy left the club, but how good was he when he came in?
Yeah. On loan. Ooh.
I mean, we were all shouting for him to be signed, weren't we?
Yeah. There's worry that he might not sign as well, isn't there? As
yes.
You said.
A big worry. A big worry. We paid 30 million for him. I think he could have left a lot nicer. I think he could have signed a contract which would have got us a bit of money. Yeah. So I'm a little bit annoyed with that. But look, we'll love him forever for that goal, won't we?
Yeah.
Won't we? The FA
certainly
Cup,
will.
You know, and a good signing for, you know,
another pause.
Yeah. In the summer we got him permanently.
Yeah.
Was initial in, you know, our 2 5th places and our European, I would say, success that we had in the Europa League, but that would come up under this guy who then took over from Claude Puel, Mr. Brendan Rodgers. Now he joined us in February, and I'm going to sneeze. He joined us in February during an international break and had 10 or so games at the end of the season to assess the players. Oh, excuse me. There we go. I told you I was. Funny that we could have done that this year, couldn't we? Got rid of a certain clown the last few weeks and given the new manager a chance to look at the squad. But Brendan came in the February and his first window was summer 19. And again, when you look at that, overall, yes, we got Tielemans on a permanent. Dennis Pratt, who I think we messed him about so often.
Yeah.
We did. Brad's favourite player, Perez.
13 million, my God.
I know.
What were we thinking of?
Well, I actually had the Newcastle fan on yesterday for the preview show. And of course, I brought Perez up. And he said, when he signed, he got a 30 million that was his get out clause, if you like, his buyout. And he said, we never thought anybody would be daft enough to pay that.
This is when it all started to go wrong, really, wasn't it?
I think so. Think so. Because I think what it was that Rodgers insisted on getting very much involved with the transfers.
Yeah.
But James Justin, up until this season, when he's being played out of position, he's much better on the left. A great side. In fact, he just got into the England team, hadn't he?
Yeah. Did we loan him back to Luton for the end of the season? No?
I'm not sure.
I don't know why that rings a bell. It doesn't matter. I just wondered.
I'll bow to your...
No, don't. I'm probably making it up. No, there's Dennis Pratt I liked a lot. I thought he was a shame again.
I did. And he was willing to fight for his place, wasn't he?
He was a decent player as well. That always helps.
You know, he could have, you know... I just think we messed him about, and I think we messed a lot of players about with the careers, you know. But that was the summer window. And then we got to January 2020. Talk about things going wrong. Gordon Bennett. But it wasn't Gordon, it was his brother Ryan. I mean,
I don't know what all that was about. I really don't.
I mean, we couldn't get who we wanted. Whether that was the start of the money troubles, I don't know. But when you couldn't get into a Wolves side, they were lower in the division than us. And I know sometimes you buy these players and they move clubs and suddenly they turn into prime-time Messi or something. But again, apart from that one game when he was awful and cost us the game, he was okay, but just okay.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing there that
there was a point of signing, wasn't it?
It was, really. Thank God he was only on loan, you know. I think you sum it up for us all there, Ronald. I think you do. Now, we then get to summer 2020. It was certainly an odd signing, Blue Fox. We signed Timothy Castagna, Wesley Fofana, and Genghis Under on loan. Let's talk Fofana there. I remember I won a prize because that was the time. Those are the days when, you know, Leicester City showed an interest in the fans, and I got to speak to him on a video link from Switzerland or wherever they were. There was me and like 9 others, if you like, and we got to ask the question. And he wasn't one of the 2 players that we were supposed to be talking to, but we were just walking past. We'd just signed him, and they were like, "Oh, come and join us! Come and join us!" Because he didn't speak much English, but he seemed like a real nice guy. But and I mean, I'd call him a "see you next Tuesday," but they have a use. You know what I mean?
Well, I think 20,000 supporters did that when he first came back with Chelsea, the year we went down. In fact, the stewards were trying to stop the bad language, and there were so many people singing it that they couldn't do anything about it. And he was walking around the pitch because he was substituted. That's when they had to get off at wherever they were. So he walked around in front of the cop, and they were all giving him so much. And he deserved it. He did.
It. I mean, you know, this is the guy who we paid during his injury, which is, you know, is fine. That was our right. We had to do that. You know, he signed for us. He was injured, but all this bloody, you know, social media shit. You know, I'm signing a new contract. Thank you for the Leicester family for sticking by me when I'm ill.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and does that. He
Same
could not.
price.
I remember watching him, and I'm not sure who we were playing. It was at Leicester, and James Maddison scored a goal from a free kick. He could not even look up from his phone to celebrate and applaud him.
Oh yeah, I was there.
And then when he got into the England squad, oh, well done to my brother for getting into the England squad.
Yeah,
blah blah blah.
Yeah, and we paid the same prices for Yuri Tielemans.
Yeah. Thing was, he was one of the players that actually, because sometimes you get a player and they take a while to bed in, don't they? He seemed to bed in very, very quickly and was good, was fast. And look, I wished him anything that could happen to him. I wanted to happen to him when he went to Chelsea, and they have hardly seen him, to be honest with you.
No, that's right.
Which is not a shame at all. But he did look good. And, I just thought, again, you can leave in certain ways, can't you?
Mm.
We did get 60 million for him. Castagna, 21 million. Not a bad signing, I don't think.
No, still going well at Fulham.
Yes, yeah. Jen was quite quick to leave, but fair play to him. And I seem to remember didn't get that many games, but when he did, I quite liked him.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd sign him. But it never happened. I don't think there was any space for him in the side at the time. No. So why would he sign?
Yeah, it was a shame. But that was summer 2020. Now January 2021. We signed that well-known Afghan player, Fukali. Fukali. We didn't sign anyone, and I think this is, although we'd only signed Diabate the January before. And January is a very funny window, isn't it? Because you end up paying over for people that aren't that good, because the selling club know you're desperate if you're after somebody in January. So. But we didn't sign anybody. I think that season it was us and Tottenham. Neither of us signed anybody. But this famous player here, he will make an appearance later. We do sign him a couple of times. And then summer 2021. Here we go. Okay. Pat Sandaka, Simare, Luckman, the one that got away again. Bertrand, right, that well-known Frenchman, Ryan Bertrand, and Yannick Vestergaard and his dog. Who I believe he also lives in London or somewhere, Look, let's start with Daka. He's had his time, he's had his chances. I tried to defend him last season, not because he was any good.
Yeah, you did.
If he missed something, he would have the world against him. But Daka did the same thing. Oh, it's Daka, you can forgive him, blah, blah, blah. That's what annoyed me. But again, he looked a decent signing. He got 4 against Moscow. What went wrong?
I think confidence. I really think it's down to that. I think if he moves, he will go and do okay. I think last season, he was, was it the season before? Probably 22, 23. He was shot then, and he's never recovered from it. And he was billed as the next Vardy because of his pace, so that didn't help. But I think he's just the worse his confidence gets, the more goals he'll miss, or the more chances he'll miss, and the crowd will get on his back. He'll know it. He knows players aren't stupid. Well, they are stupid, but they're not generally stupid on that side of it. He knows that, the crowd don't like him, and it affects him.
His face when he got taken off against Plymouth last season. Yeah, the guy had the weight of the world on his shoulders. Yeah, and when a manager comes in and that manager says, "Well, I wanted to buy this lad when I was at PSV," you think, "Well, he might get." And then
what's all that about? I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at Iheanacho. When we first bought him, he was coming on for 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, an odd game, then he was dropped. You're not going to build up any sort of momentum.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
Iheanacho
exactly.
lost it at Brighton. He missed 2 or 3 golden opportunities there, bad misses in front of the away fans, and he was gone.
Yeah.
You know, they should have taken him straight off because his head dropped. He just wham. And Daka's the same, I think. You know, he needs the confidence, but he needs to play. He needs to be able to miss 2 or 3 chances and get the third and fourth. You know, and he's not had that. And yeah, why do you slag your own players? Like, not. I mean, again, it comes down to at the ground you support them. You don't boo, you don't do this. Slag them afterwards in the pub to your mates by all means, but not social media and not on the. You know, you can say, well, they earn too much money. Yeah, that's not their fault. Jeez, if somebody offered me £100,000 a week to go and play football or something, I'd do it. I don't care who I'd play for. So it's not their fault.
Dave, I think you're safe. I don't think anybody's going to offer you.
No, I turned it down, mate. Anyway, so yeah, it was Coventry.
Look, Samare flatters to deceive.
Yeah.
He had a season away. He's come back. He did absolutely brilliant against West Ham, I think, or Brighton. I'm not sure. And then he's just getting indeed his way, isn't he?
Yeah, and he makes too many mistakes, but he can do it in field. It's when he does it in defence, because he does come and drop back and do a bit there. And we've seen a few mistakes from him that cause goals. Yeah. And I think Mads had a few goes at him, hasn't he, over the season. Yes. But yeah, disappointment.
I don't think there's anything we can say about Bertrand and Vestergaard other than that Southampton fans were messaging me and saying thank you.
Yeah, Bertrand, I think in the friendlies was okay, and then he got this bad injury, and of course that was the end of it. But Vestergaard, I mean, I put on a clip on Facebook. One of the internationals, he got 8.3 point marks.
Yes,
and man of the match, I think, against quality opposition. Yeah. So God knows where that came from.
And I want to know is why the hell we haven't got his dog in defence instead of outface. But we'll come on to that. Lookman, my God, why could we not have cobbled 10 million together?
I don't know. All I can say is that one of my son-in-laws is a Fulham fan, and he liked him when he was there, but he wasn't consistent enough.
But he's certainly been consistent at Atlanta.
At Atlanta, but he certainly wasn't with us, was he? I mean, he had some moments, but again, nothing consistent.
We all wanted to sign him, didn't? Well, I wanted to sign him. I think a lot of the fan base.
I think he could have. Yeah, I think so, because once you're a permanent member of the team, then you do start to play a bit better.
Yeah. When
it's your club, as opposed to just being here, because nobody wants you at your own club.
I mean,
no, that's right.
As Blue Fox says here, should have signed Lookman. I think so, but look, we all know hindsight, and there's nothing to say that if we'd signed him, he'd have done for us what he did for Atlanta. There's
we've signed many players that have done well on loan that have not performed. Yes.
Now then, guess who was signed in the January 2022?
Not that guy again, was it?
It is. It's that Mr. Ali.
Got him back on loan.
We got him in. No signings again. That was a better window, though, than summer 2022, because we got this dickhead in. I mean, Alex Smithers. Wow, really? But again, that was a Schwartz, Jukovic kind of signing. Although having said that, we still had about 5 keepers at the club.
I'm saying, yeah.
About Faze. Now, I don't wish the guy any harm, but how did he survive COVID? I really wish. I'm sorry, but this guy, I'd sooner have Vestergaard's dog in the team, or even I tell you what would stop more than this guy.
He's a bit quicker than Vestergaard, isn't he? But that's about it.
That's his only thing. I mean,
I think his arrogance annoys me when he just passes a ball backwards and shrugs his shoulders and just kicking it back to his kid or something, or kicking it for the dog. I don't know whether that's just me or what, but I just think he's so casual about everything, which is why he gives
he believes his own publicity.
Yeah, he gives too many goals away because he is too casual.
Yes.
But there's nobody there to tell him. Cody should be telling him, but clearly not.
Well, how many times can you tell somebody,
and
then
still gets picked, mate.
Him, we'll come to a Coley later, but Wout Faes, I mean, he got a 0 out of 10 from a Belgian newspaper when he was playing for Belgium against Spain in the Nations.
Oh yes, I saw that. That was he was horrendous, wasn't he?
Yeah,
but keeps getting picked.
Yeah, but I just wish that when you say, "Oh, go and play on the motorway," please, Wout Faes, do that, because
Is his contract up this summer?
No, unfortunately, it's not.
They'll probably sell him anyway. He won't want to go play in the Championship.
Exactly. I mean, I just can't see that he would ever. Who'd want him?
Well, clearly his international side do.
Well,
maybe he can go back and play there.
This is Belgium, isn't it? I mean,
who's coming up? There might be a team coming up. Sheffield United, they might buy him.
Yeah, they took Luke Thomas, didn't they?
They'll take everybody, yeah.
I'm just actually looking for something while I'm doing that, and I can't find what I am looking for, which is a shame because it would have just fitted in very nicely there. Where have I put it then? Here we go. Right. Look, I don't want you to think that to me, Wout Faes is my Daniel Amati. and as Blue Fox says here, starting to feel you're not a big fan of Faes. Well, I've shown this a couple of times, but I'll put this up again. I've got that up on my wall. You know what I mean?
Poor old Woot.
And I have to say that first start in the bottom right-hand corner, that was thrown by Daka because it missed him.
Oh dear me.
Hiya, Geordie. How you doing, mate? Wout was a panic buy after he sold Fofana. He was. I'm sorry, but that I can't. Like I say, I'd sooner have Daniel Amati than Wout Faes. That's what I think of him. January 2023 under Brendan Rodgers, Victor Christensen, Tete, and Harry Suter. I think Tete was loan, wasn't he? Or did we actually buy him?
He's a loan.
He had one good match. Brazilians down the side, they need to be down the centre, don't they?
One good
Harry
match.
Suter, why the fuck isn't he playing? He does all right for Australia. What's he doing? Again, he's hardly played.
He's injured now, isn't he? But he didn't play when he was fit. Yeah. He didn't play when he was fit. I have no idea why.
I would be starting him next season if he's fit.
Yeah, definitely.
Christensen went away for a year because he didn't want to change position under under Enzo. But he gets in some good positions. But when he gets down, he's never got anybody to cross into the box, and he always ends up coming backwards towards his own.
Yeah, I'm out on him. I'm not sure. Does some good stuff, but he's very fragile at the back as well. Gets out of position. I don't know, mate. I reserve judgment on him. But Tete, I mean, God Almighty, that was awful, wasn't it?
I know. We do better with Argentinians than we do with Brazilians.
We do. Yeah, you should never sign.
He was certainly not a cut above the rest.
No.
But and then Let's have a look. Enzo came in because we'd sacked Brendan. Dean Smith didn't have a transfer window, and
much of a clue.
Enzo came in June. And we had quite a busy window. Harry Winks, Connor Cody, Tom Cannon, whatever happened to him? Amanson, Mavididi, Kasede on loan, Atgun on loan, Fatawu on loan, Doyle on loan. When you look at it, that was a good window.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That could win the championship, that squad.
Look, I don't think Mads Manson's going to be with us next season.
No. But we've got good backup, haven't we?
Oh, I think Stolarczyk is an excellent.
Yeah.
If we go and buy another keeper, it's like if I was Stolarczyk, I'd be, well, fuck off, I'm off.
Yeah, well, we won't. Surely not. We've got 3 keepers at least without Mads.
Well, Danny Ward's out of contract. Please don't.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, his contract is up this
Okay.
season. But you've got Stolarczyk and then you've got Everson, who I think are a good 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Connor Cody came in, got injured, and then look, Vestergaard just turned into, prime time Rio Ferdinand, and Connor Cody never got a look in. And Tom Cannon, I mean, we bought this guy, never played him, said he wasn't good enough for the Premier League. Well, we never played him in the Championship. If he's a Championship player, where are we going to be next season? Or Championship? And he could be with he is with Sheffield United, who could be in the Premier League. Yeah. I mean, again, he was never given a chance, was he?
No, not at all. Not at all. And sure, could take a lot of weight off Vardy as well, or could have done.
Yes, yeah. And he always had a go.
Yeah.
But then again, in this team, would he ever get a ball played to him?
No.
Look, Cassidy, again, flattered to deceive, but he was called back, wasn't he? And then never played.
Yeah.
That was totally weird.
Not getting much of a game now, is he, under his old manager at Leicester?
No.
Bizarre.
Take 1 goal against Villa, then sweet FA from him. Exactly. Let's have a look who else we've got. Now, Atgun on loan, I liked him. I don't think, again, he got enough chances. I remember going to watch the FA Cup game against Bournemouth. Bournemouth.
Yeah, it was good.
He at least was having shots. None of the other players were having shots. I know Mavididi won it in the end. But every time he had the ball, they didn't tackle him because he was in and out, and if they tackled him, he'd just go down and you get a penalty. And he had that many shots. Unfortunately, let's say he had 10 shots, 9 of them were off target.
Yeah.
But at least he was having a shot. At least he was getting into the opposition box, which was more than the other players were doing.
Yeah.
I liked him, and I think we should have signed him.
Well, certainly as Mavididi now can't even get a start.
No.
I don't understand that. Mavididi I criticise anyway because he's greedy and he's too obvious. You know where he's going to go before he goes that way. He's not got enough flair for the Premier League, I don't think. But he was certainly one of our best players last year.
Yeah. Do you think, again, he's suffering because he's not being given the chance?
Well, I think
to play
he
regularly?
I think possibly, but he was always struggling a little bit. And he was always predictable. But I think now that he's not getting a game at all, we've got nobody to play in that position.
Yeah.
So we play one up front.
Fatawu, well, look, what can you say? I mean, who knows how different our season might have been if he didn't get injured.
Yeah.
But
I thought Callum Doyle was good as well.
He was. Again, he was never going to be allowed to sign for us. But he left back, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or left centre back, one of the two. But yeah, he always, again, never let us down. I don't think he had a bad game when he played. And guess who's back for the January 24?
Oh, we've got him on loan again.
No, we've got this guy.
Oh yeah. Cool.
This is just getting repetitive now. Yeah. Again, no signing. It seems for the January ones, doesn't it?
I don't think Enzo needed anybody, did he? Really? It was all going so well at the time.
It was.
We could have done with somebody in March.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, again, like you say, that was when it all started to go wrong. And then Enzo jumped ship and went to Chelsea. And look, I understand. Would Enzo, I mean, the Newcastle fan said to me, he said, if Enzo had stayed, would you be where you are now in the league? What do you think?
No.
I think we would.
I think we'd be above relegation. I think we would. I mean, it would be tight, but I think we would. I think Enzo thought we were going to get points deducted, so he was on his way out anyway.
Yeah.
And we could have had 10 points deducted at one stage. That was the danger.
In a way, I wish we had, because at least then we could have blamed them for being so bad.
Get it out of the bloody way, wouldn't it?
Yes.
But I think Enzo had a bit more about him as a manager than certainly Van Nistelrooy's got. What
do you think of Steve Cooper?
I thought it was pretty boring.
But at least he came in when nobody else wanted it.
Well, yeah, but as you say, so would many managers. I don't think we suddenly decided to get people in that weren't up for it. I mean, we were on a high. Don't forget, we'd been promoted. We won the championship. We were ready to go, and we brought somebody in who I didn't
look at
really
these players we brought in.
get excited about.
Reed, 32. Michael Golding, who we've never seen him since we bought him. Coley, who, I mean, again, where's he got? Fatawu, we know that he got injured.
Yeah.
Bredette, who was doing well under Cooper.
Wow. So they played him deep.
Yeah. Skip, we've not, again, really seen much of him. Ayew, he's not a starter. He's not a winger. Stick him up front when you want the game held up. Excuse me, I've got hiccups. El Canuto looks like a good signing, but again, he could be done. And then the guy who sits at home every match day on 90 grand knitting socks, Edward. Cooper came out and said, I'm not going to be accused of, if we go down, that I signed inexperienced players. Well, most of those were like OAPs, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't see one. I mean, I quite like Oliver Skip. I don't know why him and Winks aren't playing in midfield, to be honest, with Ndidi. But, what do I know? But the rest of them, I mean, okay, Buonanotte on loan, that's a good signing, but he's not going to stick around, so it's a bit pointless. And the rest of them, I think, no. Not for a team that's come up winning the championship with what could have been record points. We'd have had a little hiccup. It's just not good enough, is it?
No.
How much is that? 18, 28, 32, 52, 57, 77, nearly £80 million there. Plus his bloody expensive wages, Edward. That's a lot of money.
90,000 Edward is on.
That's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah. And I just look at Skip. We've hardly seen him play.
Yeah, I think they're two good English players that should be playing.
Would have been interesting to see who Enzo would have signed in the summer window. Enzo did want one player in the window. He did, but he was injured, wasn't he? He failed his medical, and then he was out for the rest of the season. So that wasn't a bad move, maybe.
I bet Enzo he'd have signed Fatawu, obviously, I think.
Yeah. Well, he gave Vestergaard a 3-year extension.
Oh,
yeah. Let's not forget that.
Who did?
Enzo.
Well, did he? Or was it? I don't know who controls transfers, to be honest. Everyone accuses people, but,
You nearly said the JR name, didn't you? I know. I think the one thing under Cooper were it was us and Man City were the only two teams left at one point that were scoring in every game.
Yep.
And now 737 Premier League minutes without a goal.
Yep.
Says it all.
How many times on your shows have we said, be careful what you wish for?
Yes.
How many times? Even when Brendan was going,
somebody had a go at me, but I do hold my hands up. I wanted Cooper, and I wanted then Cooper out. And I wanted Nistelrooy, but I now want Nistelrooy out. But like you say, do be careful what to do, da. Another musical thing there. Be careful what you wish for, like you say. Very, very true. I mean, I think we'd be in a better position now. And
well, we couldn't any worse, Chris, could we?
Well, exactly.
I mean, we've spent so many decades criticising managers that have actually, in history, has shown they weren't that bad.
Yeah.
And we always want the next best thing. We're not going to get the top managers. We certainly couldn't get them last year because of the points deduction potential. We're not going to get them this year because we'll be in the Championship. So, I mean, I saw some, I don't know whether it's one of these silly headlines that get you to click on it, but somebody's being lined up to be manager next season from a Serie A side. Yeah, I mean, that's, how would that happen?
Well, I know Liam Rossigna, but that's Ligue 1 in France that he's doing well in.
Yeah.
And Danny Roll from Sheffield Wednesday. I just don't think that this man here that then took over is the man to bring us back up.
I don't think he's got a clue.
No. But he did make a signing. Koulibaly.
Nice price.
Yeah, and he's got potential, but
I thought his first game or two was good.
Sorry,
I thought he played well to start with. I thought he had a couple of good
I don't
games.
think he's been very bad, but he's not been given the chance again. Why buy a right back and then don't start that right back and start a left back over the right back in the right back position? There's only when you've got a double Dutch idiot clown as your manager,
I think the disappointment is that I don't know whether he's just being stubborn or whether he's just making a point that the senior players are not good enough, so it's not his fault. But he's got an academy of kids there that would do nothing wrong, because they'll be fresh, they want to play, they want to fight. We've seen it before, haven't we? Jock Wallace did it. He brought in Buchanan, Dave Tomlin and players like that. We're at 15, 16-year-olds, for goodness sake, in the first division. Actually, we were in second at the time, weren't we? But, they did it. Big blokes trying to kick them up in the air and they survived. Now we've got the top scorer in the under-21s, who's not been on the bench, I don't think.
This is why I said if we could get rid of Van Nistelrooy now, bring the new manager in, bring some of the youngsters too. I know a lot of them are on loan, but what we've got, we can't do any worse than we're doing now. But
who again, Chris, the same thing. Who would you bring in? Who would want to come? Who's available? Guy from Southampton. I don't know who would want to do it. The club has got no fight in it. It's been it's been worn out. The supporters are tired. The backroom staff are clearly not doing their job properly. And it's just all round. This supposed clear out of the board and looking at what went wrong 2 years ago never happened, as far as we know. If it did, it wasn't publicised. And the same people are still in place. So would you want to go and manage Leicester if you weren't a Leicester fan?
I think anybody would, because look at how many people go to Watford.
Well, yeah.
And look how many people have gone, at Man United may be a bit different. But anybody that signs for a club knows that if they've just sacked a manager, they're desperate. And look, I honestly think that Top was, oh my God, it's Ruud van Nistelrooy. Let me get down on the knees and suck your cock.
I think you're right. I think many people did.
Yeah. You want a 2-year contract? Let me give you 3. And then, but they know, well, I don't really want to go to Leicester. Who are Leicester? They're in the relegation battle. But you know what? If they sack me, I'm still going to get my wages.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Exactly. And I know Nigel Pearson was on a podcast, and he said, like, why did you go to Watford? And he didn't say it, but in so many words, it was, well, even if they sacked me, I'd get me money.
Yeah.
But that's it. But look, we made our way through it, Dave. We're through. We came out the other end. My God, that was like a magical mystery tour, wasn't it?
That was fascinating, I must say. I mean, as I say, some of those players I'd either totally forgotten or didn't know. And some of the transfer fees I'd forgotten.
It scares you, really, doesn't it? When you come to think how many of those players that we signed for those exorbitant fees actually left on a free.
Well, there's 4 of them that I written down. Perez, 30 million. I thought Perez was a decent player. I thought he was unlucky. He wasn't played as a striker.
No.
He had some decent skill, but it never worked. But at 30 million, Dennis Pratt liked him, but 18 million for somebody on the bench. Christensen went out on loan, 17 million pounds worth of failure. And Suter, 15 million pounds for a guy who was a tower for Stoke when we bought him. And not even a sniff.
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder we're in trouble financially. If you did that in a business, you would be bankrupt.
Oh, you definitely. And they're saying that football is a business these days, but it's just like you say. I understand when you sign players that, and I think sometimes we're living beyond our means. We're signing players. All right, we haven't for a while, but when we were signing players that were 30, 40 million, we weren't in that league.
No.
We lost 60 million on Slimani and on Tielemans. 60 million quid just, and all right, the chairman comes along and says, I'm going to write this money off for you. And he'll probably say, look, I'm going to give you a glass of water or a bottle of beer at the next game. Oh, you're wonderful. Thank you. But how can you run a company where you're writing off 60 million quid? You can't.
No,
well, look,
you can't forever.
The good news is we're in the Championship next season. No VAR, decent football. Yeah, exactly. Dave, it's been great having you back on.
Yeah, good to see you again, Chris. Look after yourself, mate.
And you as well. And
I'll speak soon.
What show are you on now? Is it 8 till 10 on a Sunday?
8 till 11.
8 till 11.
Sunday morning breakfast show.
On Surrey Hills Community Radio. Do check him out.
Oh, excuse me.
If he makes it to the next weekend, to tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, good news is I'm due out about half an hour ago. So
I appreciate you being on. It was a long one. Thanks very much, Dave. Have a good weekend and give all my best to Kathy.
Yeah, speak soon. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Thanks to Dave for coming in. That was a long one, but we had a lot to get through, so I appreciate him. Being here. Oh, there we go. Do as it says there, if you would please be so kind. If you could click on the notification, you will never miss another show. Please like the video. That does help us get the word out there. Share the video. That's another way. All these things are free, and you can subscribe. That really is a big help. I've lost a couple of subscribers lately, so please do resubscribe or subscribe if you are new to the channel. All of that is free, and if you'd want to pay a little bit of money, it's only $1.99, and you can become a channel member, and that helps support the. It's 400 quid just to be able to put this show out live. So $1.99 a month does help. Every little helps, as Tesco once said. And to leave you with some good news, you know what? Nottingham Forest are losing 2-0. See you Monday night. If I don't become a granddad in the meantime, if I become a granddad on Monday, I won't be here Monday night. So it'll be a shame, won't it? You know, I mean, it's a big daddy chips, you know, new grandchild, first grandchild, Leicester City watch along. I'll let you decide. Good night. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.